Hey guys, we're live on the moon, and it's a Friday night, 11 November, and I've been out of pocket for a couple days. We've been pretty cloudy down here, inclement weather, and last night was the first night I could have done the moon, but I couldn't because I was in Bible class, so by the time I got home, the moon was way up over my roof. So we'll just take that as it goes and say Bible class is more important than the moon last night. I'm conducting a very special experiment right now with this camera. This is a Logitech Webcam C910 HD Pro, top of the line, 10 megapixel camera, and I am right now using the software that came with the camera. The downside is I can't record at 1080p, but the upside is I can record at 720p optimized. And I'm not sure how many frames per second it is, but it's probably not 30, but it might be 15, and it's certainly going to be, if there's any UFOs on the moon, we're going to see them in this segment. There's not going to be blotches. One of the other downsides is I don't have a mouse. But like I said, you're kind of guinea pigs in my adventures in exploring the moon, and I'm trying to just look at the moon in different ways. Right now I'm using a 25mm lens. That means if I change it, I'd either have to keep this thing running, which I probably won't, or more than likely I'll just stop it and then try another one and make a separate recording. But more than likely, if I did that, I'd probably try it with the other screen capture. I'm very curious to see, though, how this does work. Right now I have the exposure on auto. I'm going to turn it off of auto right now. Okay. And I'm going to drop it down just a dab. See, I do have full control. On my color intensity, I have it about 60%, so it's higher than the normal, and this should be still a stunning picture on your screen. Let me turn auto back on. See how it brings out the detail. And for this test, I'm running with the camera there. I just zoomed it all the way, so we're zoomed max. And as you can see right now, I'm not sure tonight I'm going to even put in a 5 to show you, because, well, maybe down here there's not too much going on the moon right now, except for a lot of flying saucer activity. I don't know if there is flying saucer activity, but with this particular recording, we're going to see it because I'm recording at a very high frame rate. I told you before that one of the goals that I had was to try to let's just sit on that. That's a very beautiful picture, and you can see the coloring comes out. I did turn the color up. Let me turn it up just a dab more and see if it blotches away. Now, see, that's all the way you kind of get. I'm going to put it back to about right there. That's about on the bar. That's about 60. But you can see the shadow line is on the left. What I'm doing right now is I'm going to do a circumference survey, and then we'll go cross section. Again, just very slow. If there's any flying saucers flying around up there. We're going to see them tonight for sure. What I would like to do is, I don't mind losing my mouse for high resolution, but it would be nice if I could record this at 1080p. I've been comparing the videos. The videos at 1080p are much better resolution than the ones at 720. Now, those of you that are not familiar with YouTube, isn't that beautiful? Let's just kind of pause right there. YouTube, like I have a high-speed internet. It's a cable, comes in high speed, super high speed, and that's just absolutely stunning. And when I bring up YouTube, I have it automatically do the highest screen possible for YouTube. So when you bring up YouTube on your computer and you go full screen, it will go to high definition, but it goes to 720p. Now, to see the 1080p, you have to, right next to that full screen button, isn't that beautiful? Right next to that full screen button, to the left of that is where you see 720p. Just click on that, and if 1080p is available, it'll be right there at the top. On this one, it will not be available because I'm recording at 720p. Let me right now pause right there. I'm going to show you how that's a very beautiful picture. I'm going to turn auto off, and I'm going to drop the exposure down just a dab. And see how it brings out the detail? And you can see right there that mothership, what I call the mothership runway. And then if you just go to the left of the moon into space, you can really see things. And I might do an experiment right toward the end of this video, just to show you what I mean. Go to the right of the video and just see if I can see any stars. I'm going to turn auto back on. Okay, auto's back on. Now I'm going to try another. Your guinea pigs, guys. All these kind of experiments for the last 5 sessions have been literally experiments with this new camera. I'm going to turn the right light on. Right light is a light that's in the camera that doesn't do anything to our videos, but it does affect the exposure. And we're going to continue to go down. I might mention that Henning is from Countdown 2010 on YouTube. Got his Logitech webcam, and he's been experimenting with it too. And he's had some pretty good luck with his 9mm and his 4mm lens. This is a good web camera. Unfortunately for those lenses with this base that my friend Mike designed, you can't put those on. You have to kind of okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to do lateral surveys back and forth. You have to kind of tape it to the webcam, which is not the best thing, but it works. Also, you'll see with this camera, if there's a dirty spot on your lens, well, by damn, it's going to come out. And you can see in the upper left corner, there's a smudge, kind of a little smudge. And that is a telltale sign that there's dirt on that 25 millimeter lens. The downside of this program is it's called Logitech Webcam Software. That's the one I'm using right now. I'm kind of testing it. And the downside, if you look right now on your screen, on your left side, that big crater is called Plato. And then if you look to the very right of Plato, you'll see a mountain range that kind of goes horizontal, and then it goes vertical. That's what they call the Alps on the moon. Furthermore, if you look at those two, I'll put them right in the center. See those two craters that are kind of offset, pointing to about a 2 o'clock position? Well, right where they're pointing, it's not quite there, but it's to the downside of that, against the Alps, is where one of our Apollo missions landed on the moon. This is a very deliberate test that I'm performing to see how the image will look at 15 frames a second. And in particular, if we see a UFO, it would be very interesting. You've seen some of the UFOs on my other cameras and settings with the, the screen capture and everything, and quite frankly, they they sometimes aren't as clear because they're kind of splotchy. And that's because the frames per second is low. Well, this is probably as high of frames per second as I've been able to give you on any image. I'm trying to stop it there. Let's go to the edge, and we'll work our way across. Frames per second, you're saying, what in the hell is frames per second, Bill? Well, when you watch a movie or on TV, most of the stuff in the United States is recorded at 30 frames per second, or 29.9 frames per second. Most of the stuff in Europe is recorded at 24 frames a second. That's because their screen resolution is a little bit different. See how it autofocused out? That was kind of neat. Let's sit on that for just a second. On a piece of film, you have, if you ever looked at like 16 millimeter film, 8 millimeter film, you've seen little pictures. And frames per second is the number of pictures that are displayed on the screen every second. So I'm saying this probably is 15 frames per second. That's pretty high for a webcam. And what it means is if there is a UFO or something flying around on the moon, we should clearly be able to see its movement. Again, this is a lateral survey done with a 25 millimeter Astrotech lens at full zoom using Logitech Webcam software that came with the webcam, recorded at optimized 720p. And you say, well, Bill, why don't you stop and put in your other lens so we can see closer? Well, number one, it doesn't have a pause, and that's the downside that I was trying to tell you about this program. It does not have a pause. I want you to take a look at something right there. If you go, again, it doesn't have a mouse, so I can't point, but I'll try to put in the center, trying to give you guys a little tour of the moon of what I perceive as important. If you look at that crater right there in the center, I haven't told you the name of it yet, but to the right of that is that lake that I've been calling Crystal Lake. You know, I'll try to center Crystal Lake right there. Isn't it amazing I have so much control over this telescope? Well, to the immediate north and west of that big crater is an atrium complex, which I think the United States has a base. And hopefully during these next couple phases of the moon, when we get in the next couple days, maybe in a week or a week and a half, I don't know how long it's going to take the shadow line to get to that crater, and then I'll be able to go in there with detail with this new camera and hopefully show you some really neat things. I also think there's a hangar base just on the north side of that crater, or that Crystal Lake complex. I think there's life on the moon. It's teeming with life. And I think Americans and Russians are up there, but more importantly, I think that there's fallen angels. I think they have bases on the moon. And yes, I believe there's flying saucers, and that's what I'm looking for. You can see the shadow line starting to creep on the right side. Now, what I'm going to do, guys, this is going to be something it's unique. I'm again experimenting with this camera. I'm going to go down here into the center. See how the exposure automatic adjusted. And just for grins, I need to make sure I have autofocus off because I want to put it right there and turn autofocus on. It might have made a little difference, but see how it's moving back and forth. Usually when you're doing, I'll turn it off. Usually when you're doing this kind of a survey, that basically has the edge of the moon, you're better off to just manually focus it. Now, when I'm using the 5mm lens, that's a different story. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go off to the left of the moon. Okay, I'm going to go off to the left of the moon, and to the immediate left of the moon, I'm going to see if I can see some stars. I'm going to turn the, I have no idea what I'm going to see. You're guinea pigs, guys. I have auto on all the way. I'm going to turn it off in a minute, but I just want to go to the left of the moon, get out of the glare. Okay. Now turn the right light off, turn the auto off, turn the exposure up. You can see the gain. I'm going to turn the gain all the way up. Turn the brightness. I'm too close to the moon. Let me go back to the moon. I'm moving the camera back to the moon. I was experimenting with the to see if I could see any stars just by kind of slipping to the left of the moon. But the moon is so bright that and let's see. It did pretty good at coming back in. Matter of fact, let's turn autofocus on right now. Matter of fact, let's do let's go down the circumference with autofocus on. It'll be going in and out, but let's just see how it jumps in and out. What it's doing is it's literally, every time you see it jump, it's adjusting the focus. I just in particular want to see what it looks like with these craters at the bottom and on the bottom right side of the moon. See if they come in any better. And now let me turn the right light off, the auto off, and let me turn the exposure down just a dab. Okay. You can see why I don't use autofocus with this. I turned it off. And there's our ferret. That's going to be a good place to stop. Short test, short and sweet, but it should be interesting to see what it looks like at 15 frames a second. It should be a lot smoother. And I'll be interested to blow it up and look at it real close and see if I can see anything. I'm going to try to be on the moon here Saturday night, Sunday night, and for sure Monday night. And weather-wise, I think we're going to be sitting pretty good. Hope you guys are doing well. Tomorrow night, the shadow should creep over enough to where I'll put that 5mm on, so we should get more interesting detail. I might even try that 5 times Barlow that I have. That should be very, very interesting, and I haven't tested that yet with this camera. In the meantime, I wish you and yours clear skies, guys.